Hey, how are you? Hopefully you're doing well. This is an Orby report that I've been saving up for a minute. Um, it's been a pretty good week. A lot of good stuff going on, dirt side and in space. Dirt side, I've been working on the op ord for Operation Ignition. It's going to be the first op ord that I think Orby puts out, and I'm pretty excited for some of the ideas that are going down in there. I talked a little bit about like the combination of TTRPGs with MMOs, and it's for. I'm hoping it functions a bit like League of Legends kind of did. The fusion of freely accessible tools and gameplay items through the mobile phone, like through a mobile application, and then like a campaign structure and story. So it's been really fun, like writing little vignettes for the individual pilots, and like a lot of them are based off of my sweet Savage's work and the dogs that she interacts with, which is that's fun too. It's bringing me closer to her, I think. Otherwise, I have a massive order for hello little spider. I have a massive order for different goods at the moment. Two major investments. I had about 300 million in ISK profit, not profit, but conversion from the mammoth sales. All the mammoths were bought up. So good. I'm glad the market actually recognizes the value of the Queen of the Last Mile. The mammoth is a great ship, and I want to write a love note to her outside of the book. I already wrote one to the Noctis and the Rifter Fleet issue, though. The Fleet issue was really more like, I got it! With the mammoth, I think it'd be a lot more fun to tell some of the stories. Anyway, Ancient Relics. I spent way too much ISK on Ancient Relics. They are overvalued because there's no guaranteed that, NetEase is actually going to make the Scholar Point system come back or worth anything. It seems like a cornerstone of the fundamental design, the core design of the game, because it's ubiquitous. There's Ancient Relics that spawn all over the place. They have a random chance of popping up with, different ores, and they have a random chance of popping up with different wrecks, and they're all over the place, especially with planetary materials as well. They're a fun little mini game that doesn't really have an outlet. There's just an inlet right now, which would, like, market forces would suggest that those get driven down in price to near zero, since there's no conceivable use just yet. Their utility is extremely low, but they're very rare. And the reason they're rare is because once you pop them, you can't sell them again. Once you turn those Ancient Relics into whatever bingo card items, they're going to be, convert them to Scholar Points effectively, and you bring them to the collector, you can't get them back. Done bun can't be undone, hun. Or son, I suppose, depending on your proclivities. So I invested way too much ISK in that, about 200 million, which could have been a rapid fire module or a bomber module or one of those other fun toys, but I can't really put those to use without an Omega account, I don't think. Maybe I can. I probably misinvested that, but it's still fun. I love the Ancient Relics, even if they don't have a purpose. Just think they're neat. Other than that, I placed an order for a a lot of small ore wrecks, and that order's getting fulfilled a lot faster than I expected. Whoever does the 10% ISK claims on the market, they gotta be making bank, man. Like flipping those suckers, stockpiling those suckers up, because there's no competition on the market. Nobody's like fighting for these niches. It's an open field. Folks are just kind of like passively playing catch as catch can. The whales are asleep, and the alphas are available or able to take full advantage of that. So I got enough small ore wrecks to start production, to restart production. The limiting factor there is data, which, since I like exploring, is not really a limiting factor. That's just, additional incentive to play. Let's see, what else is there? If I tab away, I'm not going to be able to, I can't look at my notes while I'm recording on my phone, which is unfortunate. It means you guys are getting, I guess the best, whatever sticks. That's kind of the big stuff. Selling those mammoths felt really good. Oh, I printed 100 ventures. I filled up my manufacturing queue all the way with ventures. And that's like, I know it's not a big milestone, but it's a milestone. It felt good. Oh, hold up. I got fence fighting dogs. Hey, Andy, come here, bud. All right. You got to see this. This is Sweet Pea. She is adorable and tiny and extremely anxious. And this polar bear of a canine. Hello, Andy. Hey, buddy. Come here. Come on, Andy. Let's go. Is Mr. Andy. Big Andy. They're going to be characters in the op board. Big Andy is a used car salesman, and Sweet Pea is his assistant. And they're ridiculous. He's got a leaf stuck in his tail. Sorry. Oh, okay. Those are kind of the big points. Mostly I've just been setting up the bases at Firewalker Base for Project Ignition, which is a play off of Twin Peaks. Firewalk with me. Ridiculous. I love it. And then Brother Artemis is the other base, which is an offshoot of Orion, where I'm going to put all my favorite toys, like my favorites. So the exploration ships, the product of those explorations, secret trafficking containers and the like, which, golly, there's another niche that's unexploited. So there's these secret trafficking containers that are not secret trafficking containers. And the markets are interesting in what the zeitgeists that underpin them remember. Secret trafficking containers have been pegged at, I think, about 4 mil ISK per since I did that video talking about the value returned from them. And there's these spin-off boxes that are pegged at, I think it was like 200,000 or something light, that are like experimental or whatever. They're one of the other boxes. And someone posted a massive stockpile for dirt cheap, and I took some big old bites out of it last week. But not enough. And I forgot about it between when I first saw it on the market and when I noticed the cost of ancient relics and its relative stability, which is surprising stability, and the plasticity of small ore wrecks. I've been trying to push those prices down on the small ore wrecks as much as humanly possible, and the order that I placed to kind of snipe competition, I'm glad that paid off. But the efforts that I put into clearing out a lot of the higher prices and don't worry about it. These are, you don't want to spend any money on these. You don't want to invest any ISK on these. Keeping letting the little fish get bigger. The seed corn, the small market value, clearing out the mid value to make it look like a lack of interest exists, and folks are trying to clear those things out. Which, it's hard to tell a story with just a couple numbers, but it depends on the activity of the folks that are paying attention to those values, I assume. I don't know. Folks got the game beat. There's playing by the book, right? There's playing blackjack by the book, if you want to call Eve Echoes the blackjack equivalent. But really, it's more like poker. You're playing people, is how I view it. So I'm probably reading too much into this silly little phone game, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And writing about it has been an absolute joy. Pulling a lot of the military experience and literally writing an op board. I took the format for an Army-style op board, which, ew, gross, Army. But if you want to talk joint operations, you're speaking Army, probably because they're the lowest common denominator. Not to bash my brothers in green, but okay, my older brother was an Army enlisted. He was a tanker without a tank, or a twat. is the acronym, the appropriate acronym for what he did. Striker driver. Good guy. Love him. I haven't talked to him in ages, though. I need to reach out at some point. Lives out in Utah. Ramble. Anyway, I'm speaking his language for this project. And it's just flowing. It just feels really good. The vignettes feel good. I feel like I'm making D&D modules for a video game, which is kind of what I want to do. I want to write for video games. And I know it's not going to pay. Like, it doesn't need to pay to be satisfying. It's not like the dollar is going to hold its value much in the near future anyway, with the Toronto dump and the destruction of the petrodollar on the global stage. Though there seems to be movement on Iran, we'll see if things cool down. I don't know. All I know is I keep getting advertisements for come visit Israel, which no thank you. It's a strange World War III when they're advertising for tourists. What a weird cyberpunk dystopia we live in, my friends. Neil Stephenson called it with Snow Crash, and Gibson with Neuromancer. Man, they nailed so much of the internet and what became of it. How people drifted out of reality, out of the outside. Good girl, Sweet Pea. But yeah, so Orby's been pretty active. I've been pretty active, even with a lot of the dirt side stuff going on. The job hunt continues. My favorite coffee shop is hiring, which that's a minor miracle. I hope they bite. I hope they take a look at my application and like what they see. But I'm a little worried. It was one of those applications where they ask a lot of like personal questions, like tell me about a time where you dealt with personal struggle and overcame and grew as a result. And I talked about the shooting and me running off into the wilderness with paranoid delusions of narcos in cahoots with Nazis and nonsense, basically. Survivor's guilt is a bitch and a half, I tell you what. And that's on top of survivor's guilt of losing, like, military buds, friends who, went the Hemingway. Not a fan. But writing about the different pilots and characters and going into little sci-fi vignettes, making heroes and villains, and, like, allowing the space for players to come in and, like, interact with them through a reputation system. It's really fun. And it's been really fun to design. I think it's really interesting, the combination of choose your own adventure with tabletop campaign structures. There's a couple of books on my hit list that I went and downloaded a sample for one of them. I'm hoping, it didn't download, it didn't keep because whatever, Kindle. But I wanna investigate more of those labyrinthine maze-like choice trees. Because really that's what most game design comes down to, right? Is possibility space and designing optional trees along the lines. It's where Mass Effect it's excelled. Alpha Protocol is another game that I think did really well, but ran into some of the pitfalls and complications that come from not necessarily a purely modular approach, but an exploration of divergent storytelling, ludonarrative examinations. Which sucks, because Alpha Protocol was a really good game. It had good bones. Had really good bones. Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2 pulled it off great. 2 especially. The ability to lose, to kill off individual characters and have the story consequences put on full display. I'm hoping I can capture a little bit of that with Orion's Belts Operation Ignition. That first op board, not like the first one. And once that's out, once Operation Ignition is I'm probably going to publish it for free. But once that format is out, I'll be able to expand on it and like play with it. And then I'll be able to like slow crawl from JITA out to, or Clover ITC, out to the freelands. And eventually, ideally, I'd be able to create op boards for the Savage Road. Because I really want people to start harassing that trail. Get them player-run stations out of there. Because if you can clear out the player-owned stations, you can clear out the caps and big expensive stuff. Soft targets don't move. And capital ships don't defend them very well on their own. Like, they'll defend them just fine in a stand-up battle, an individual stand-up battle. But erosion, a steady onslaught of minor aggressions will wear down even the tallest mountain. I mean, the Grand Canyon wasn't made from a single massive event. It wasn't made by a pivotal, super weapon or great battle. It's just the steady progress of concerted and devoted effort will win out over time. Always, 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 always. Whales hate that, which I don't get, because, it's kind of a validation of their efforts. It's the confirmation of their investment over the long haul and recognition that, like, the scale they compete at is so much more vast and different than what an alpha can perform. The opportunities that exist for smaller ships, cruisers, destroyers, frigates, mining vessels, ventures. The venture line is really good. Oh, but yeah, that's kind of the campaign that I'm creating, is focused on manipulating prices for a few key goods that I absolutely adore. Blue scanners, small ore wrecks, ancient relics, these toys, these digital toys, I just think are neat. And that's why I keep spending ISK on them. Like converting minerals into... That's something I might do too. I might do a full mineral sale out of Freelands, because I've got the sale slots almost completely opened up. After that 100 venture run, like, I'm pretty satisfied with my stockpile of ventures. Big Andy's got a lot of cars to sell. But yeah, let's see. This is dragging on a bit. Sorry, it's been built up. There's a lot of passive excitement that's been slowly feeding that tank, and it's nice to get it out. It's nice to get it out, especially for the writing. I'm really happy with a lot of the characters I've created. There's 3 main factions with pilots, 3 main named pilot factions, and then 3 non-pilot factions. And one of them is just sort of a catch-all. It's like players. Whatever. But the other 2 are Concord and Orby proper. Oh, excuse me. No, there's 3. Because there's Concord, Orby proper, Orby directives, and then there's civilian... No, civilians is Concord. It's the Serpentis pirates. And the way I'm framing it, the way I'm structuring it, is factions have their own missions. And there are no standout pilots for the Serpentis faction in this op board, because they're not a key player in like establishing the rules, the gameplay, and how it works for this op board, the reputation system. But the reputation system can like play between op boards, operations. So I've got characters that are affiliated with the Angel Cartel or with the Garistas. And those, if you do missions for those individuals, that'll feed into other factions. I love that sort of cross-play idea and that design space and room for expansion. And the focus on this first round is kind of, it's supposed to be a lead. It's supposed to push towards Serpentis Prime as the ultimate goal for, the small fry around JITA. Because, like, that's kind of the sweet spot. is the range of operations that could potentially exist between Demon Head and Clover, Serpentis Prime and Jita proper. And it's the total opposite direction from the Freelands and the Ethereum Rift, which is, it's fun. But yeah, it's nice to have the opportunity to try and flavor different subsections within the factions. So like the Serpentis pirates around Firewalker base, I'm calling Dark Knight Pythons, which is a silly name, DKP. And like every one of their missions, I'm thinking is going to be designed to kill the player. If you work for them, you will die, which is silly. But the goal is to make that like just a sheer challenge end game. And I want that reputation, the reputation that comes from them, to in a later operation feed well. Like, I'd love to create an operation that focuses on the difference between the pirates, but I feel like that leans too close into NetEase territory, into CCP's IP. Writing stories within their universe, like, there's always the risk of them sending a cease and desist or suing and being like, well, we know you're one of our content creators, and la la la, official, but I'm not really, and I haven't been producing YouTube videos on the schedule that they expected, thanks to the whole shooting and me freaking out. There's still shame surrounding that. Plus, there's a bit of shame in applying to the NetEase job. They've got a lead writer position that was open. I don't know if it still is, but I know they moved on and looked at other candidates because I don't speak Chinese. Which is fine. It's not going to stop me from doing what I want to do anyway. And I've got combat resolution mechanics in place that are very simple, so that if folks want to experience the story without playing Eve Echoes, they can. It's a nice little release valve, and like, oh shit button, NetEase has told me to stop. Fine, I'll make my own. And change the names, file off the numbers and drive it like I stole it. Anyway, thank you for the update. I hope you all have a good day. Bye.